Hello, 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 beautiful souls. Welcome back to Get Your Shit Together podcast with Yana Kasperzak. And today you're tuning into yet another incredible episode of our special series, Your Journey of Becoming, where real women share the messy, unfiltered middle of becoming who they were meant to be. Not the highlight reels, but the real thing. Because your dream life doesn't start when everything is perfect. It actually starts when you've had enough of playing small and you decide once and for all to go all in for it. And no more surviving. It's time to actually live and thrive. So grab your coffee and let's dive in. Because today I'm joined by Karolina, who helps exhausted working women, moms, to reconnect with their intuition and practice guilt-free self-care. And this one is going to be key for so many of you listening. And she has over 20 years of experience supporting vulnerable adults and having navigated two burnouts herself, burns out. my, my language sometimes twists things around. And she also brings both the professional insight and the lived-in experience into her work. And she is describing herself as Magpie in psychology world. She gathers and simplifies evidence-based well-being strategies into practical, accessible tools. Carolina empowers women to prioritize their well being through holistic, back to the basics approaches that honor their individual needs and values. And you're not only going to love her story, but you're also going to love the things that she'll end up sharing throughout her story as well. So, first, I am going to ask the question. Usually, I start with a different question, but I
Mhm.
want to ask this one question because it literally, as I was reading the intro, I am curious to know and understand what you mean by magpie in the psychology world.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Um,
A pleasure.
I'm really excited about it. What I mean by saying magpie is I am very curious person. I like
Mm.
reading, I like learning, I like discovering things. And if someone asked me, what's your hobby? I cannot say just one thing.
Me neither.
So
Multi-talented is what I learned to
it's
call
just
that.
if I'm interested in something, I go for it. If I like it, it stays with me. If I don't like it, I drop it. And I think
Yeah.
it's the same with psychology. I'm not a psychologist, although I wanted to study psychology. Um, but I'm really, really interested in psychology and the self-help world.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, And when I was thinking about my own practice, obviously people start asking you, okay, what's your expertise?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, actually, I don't want to be put in a box because the magpie kind of describes that I'm a little bit everywhere.
Hmm.
I take shiny things from different things and I create my own home, my own nest with those
Hmm.
shiny things.
I love it.
So I take, different approaches, different techniques from psychology
Hmm.
as much as I can. Because, like I say, I'm not a psychologist, so I wouldn't say, oh, I can practice CBT because I read about it. No, but I can use elements of
Mm.
that if I feel that it would be appropriate for this client, for example.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by
No, I love that. And
magpie.
it makes perfect sense. And I feel like a lot of us can relate to that. I know as I'm listening, I'm like, that's also me. When you're talking about shiny objects, it instantly got me thinking of what's shiny to us is not going to be shiny to others. Others
Yeah.
will take something different away. We all have different experiences. And to me, I'm also a very curious person. where let's say if we for my one of my favorite things is when I'm watching a show and a movie, I want to know what you're thinking about, like what is triggering in you, what's bringing up, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's challenging to have that with a man because men usually like they are actually able to turn their mind off and not have any like nothing happening in the background. But for us women, for at least for me, I feel like there's like tabs opening and another one, another, and a lot of tabs open as I'm listening to things, and these are my shiny objects. And I even explained to my husband like how our brains are. That's why he's like, I'm able to compartmentalize things. I'm like, I know that's how men's brains are. You guys are like a
Yeah.
waffle. It's so simple. But for us, we're like a spaghetti. And then we
Yeah,
went out for breakfast and
exactly.
we're sitting in the chairs that look like spaghettis. I'm like, see, that's a woman's brain right there. Right? And this is the
Yeah.
little tabs where, like you said, the shiny little objects, that shiny things that are standing out. You're reading a book or you're studying a course or going through a program or something, and there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
some things that stand out to you.
Yeah.
And that then, because it stand out to you, and you are so unique and your practice is so unique, that means those are the things that are most likely going to help your clients as well. And that's what you know. It's like, bring this in and let's go with that. Even if you're not the quote unquote expert, but
Yeah.
I understand the whole expert part of, in a sense of, if you are a few steps ahead of someone, then you are an expert at that thing because you have a lot more experience. It's like a grade 5 student is an
Mm-hmm.
expert for a grade 2 because they
Yeah.
have all those experiences, and that's where you're also sharing that your lived in experience. And I think that's where the magic lies as well. And
Yeah.
with that, I will ask you my favorite question because this is, this is Get Your Shit Together podcast. We were already talking about getting our shit together with our kids earlier, or for me especially, right? And this is where we don't talk about the surface level things. We do the raw and authentic truth, right? So I want to
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
when did you realize that the life you were living wasn't actually yours and begun getting your shit together?
Oh. Mm. Good
Like a
question.
mind twister, right?
You put me on ease and now you're shooting. Okay.
Welcome to my world. My husband finds me fascinating.
Okay, I'm gonna put my shit together now. Um, that was after my second burnout.
Mm, okay, I'd love to hear that.
That was after my second burnout. I was actually thinking about it today. My first burnout was when I was 32 and I didn't know it was a burnout.
Okay, so can you explain to those who might not know even what burnout is, and let
Yeah,
us see what it was like for you at that time?
so in my case, the first burnout was I was working full time. My daughter
Mhm.
was 2 years old. Um, we live in the UK, so I my family lives in Poland. So we didn't have anyone here. My husband's health wasn't the best, so he wasn't able to participate in our life fully. So majority of looking after my daughter was on me,
Yeah.
plus working full time. And at that time, I was working. It was really demanding job because I was working with long-term unemployed adults, and my field was mental health. So I was working with adults with ill mental health who were
Mhm.
unemployed for a very long time, and my job was to prepare them to go back on the market.
Yeah.
So it was really draining
Yeah, it would be.
mentally. Um, and I started becoming really, really tired, and I thought, it's obvious. I'm allowed to be tired because I work, I look after my child, and her being 2 year old meant she
Mm.
was going to tantrums, she was going through sleep disruption.
Yes, I
Uh,
remember the
so
two. Terrible twos,
a,
they would
a
also call
lot
it
of
too.
nights I was, half asleep, and I'm one
Yeah.
of those people who If I don't have my 8 hours sleep, I'm a zombie the next day.
I think it's
So
actually
for,
very common for women, especially when you need a lot more
yeah,
sleep because of all the
so
hormones.
for 6 months, I was on Coca-Cola at work
Wow. Yeah, staying up,
and
trying to stay up.
Rescue Remedy,
Wow.
which is like a herbal anxiety drops.
Hmm.
Um, until one day I felt so unwell. I felt this horrible chest pain, and my manager took me to A&E with a suspected heart attack. And I thought, well, okay, stress. No one, back then, no one was talking about burnout. So
No.
it was unknown. And
It's probably one of the taboo topics because you're meant to be a strong woman and have a career and raise a child all on your own and take care of your man, take care of the house, and all of the responsibilities that we're not even fully aware of that we're carrying.
no, and to be honest, at that time, I was very proud of myself. And I
Hmm.
was almost wearing this exhaustion as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
You
Superhero.
know, I'm strong, independent woman. Well, actually, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was really not helping myself. And 6 years later,
Hmm.
because I didn't know that it was burnout, it was stress. So, okay, I was signed off for a few weeks and then back on a horse and carry on. I'm really good at giving advice to anybody else apart from myself. So six
Oh,
years
me too.
6 years later, I'm back to the same situation, almost the same, because this time I kind of recognize that there's something going on.
Mm.
Um, the cherry at the top was we had terrible rotation at work. Within 6 weeks, 6 months, we lost 6 employees, and I was one stable person. So everything was on me.
Hmm.
Everyone was coming to me. And I just felt that pressure. Loads of things was going on outside of work as well. So the stress was piling up. Um, And yeah, one day we had farewell for another person. I burst in tears and I'm like, I'm not coming back. I
Mm.
think I need to
Yeah.
speak to my doctor. Um, so I was signed off again with stress, but this time I wanted to be smart. So I took all my knowledge, all my professional advice to my
Mhm.
clients, put it together, and I was expecting to be healed in a week.
Expectation versus reality. So what was the reality?
Well, why not? I'm
I
doing
know, right?
everything what I should
Yeah.
doing.
And then we shoot ourselves in the foot when we say should. And then we're limping and bleeding all over.
And when I realized that actually everything what I knew by then doesn't work, everything what was available online I was absorbing. I was this magpie. I was collecting all those
Mhm.
shiny objects, thinking this is going to help. But actually, that was backfiring. I felt worse than better.
Because it's so
And
much
I think,
information, right? And then it becomes information overload. It's like, I already have so much. Now there's more. What do I do? And it's analysis by paralysis.
yeah, exactly. And I think that was when I lost my shit and
Hmm.
I put myself together thinking, right, something is not working here. What is it? So I put everything into the bin, everything what I knew, everything what was offered, everything what was suggested. I chunk it in a bin,
Hmm.
and I started going back to basics. And by basics, I mean literally basics like sit, do nothing, and ask myself one simple but quite difficult question.
Hmm.
What do I need at the moment?
Yeah.
That was the first time when I actually asked myself, what do I need? What do I want?
And what was the
And
answer?
it was so difficult to answer this question
Yeah, it never
because I
is. The
was in a
simplest questions are the
surviving mode.
hardest.
I was in a surviving mode for such a long time that even doing nothing felt like, shit, I need to do something. This is
Yes.
wrong. This is not safe. My brain was going bonkers. And
Yeah.
my body was like, I really cannot do anything. Just give me a break. Leave me alone. So for a week, I was just binge watching. I felt so guilty.
Yes.
So guilty.
Yeah.
But then everything started coming together. It took me 3 months to overcome everything, to be in a good place, to feel that, okay, I'm healed and I'm ready to go back. However,
Mm.
I'm ready to go back on my terms.
Yeah.
Everything what I knew about self-care went upside down.
Yeah. Now you're questioning the reality that you were living in, right? It's honestly, as I'm listening to you, I know I'm not the only one who is like relating to you in so many different ways, and your story in almost in every way resonates with me as well.
Mm.
Feeling what you describe as burnout, for me, I describe as depression. Like where my soul, and this is how I understand depression, where the soul is so tired of putting on a charade and acting for everything and for everyone and losing the sense of self.
Yeah,
And then the soul is forcing us to deeply rest,
yeah,
where we're now forced to sit alone in the quiet with ourselves. And that's the scariest thing ever. Like you were saying, with that one question, a simple question, isn't it? But it's so difficult to answer it because the
mm,
fear is so real when it comes to like once you answer it, there's no going back. There's no more like the
yeah,
facade is gone. And now you're like, well, fuck, but now what? And then from that point on, there's going to be so many, it becomes, oh, this is what I also refer to as the spiritual awakening, where the spirit awakens and realizes the facade, the games, the programming, the fakeness of even the things that we're carrying as first I must find a boyfriend, then fall in love, then get married, get a house, make sure everybody has great jobs because you gotta buy a
yeah.
lot of shit you don't need. And then you have 2.5 kids, you have a cat and a dog and all these different things. That's the
Mhm.
charade as well. That we realize like I don't want to be doing that. And then with the job, many people probably were even questioning, why are you leaving? What's wrong? Your life is so perfect. When in reality, it's like the whole thing is like, feels like it's like crushing in and coming in. Or in other ways, like you're standing and just the rug is being pulled right under you and just fall down. So it's, it's like so, the experiences are similar,
Yeah.
but it didn't take me 3 months to get through it, right?
Well,
Because there's no getting over it, there's through it. It took me
everyone
much
is
longer.
different. Everyone is
Exactly.
different, and I think this is really really important to understand that the way I was going through burnout will be different for you if you had burnout.
Hmm.
There are people who really end up with physical ailments because of burnout.
Yeah.
They spend months in hospital because of burnout.
I was
Or
put on
there are people,
antidepressants.
and there are people who end up in hospital because of depression. So we are each different, and I think what I discovered through my journey and through my work with other women is that the societal expectations really kind of um, what's the word? Kind of put a curtain before our eyes so
Mm,
we don't see ourselves
yeah.
as ourselves. We see ourselves through the societal roles: mom, employee, sister.
People in our life, right, that are reflecting us back to us.
Yeah, yeah. So a few years ago, see, I am a very curious person. So a few years ago, I did this experiment asking friends, if I ask you a question, simple question, who am I? Who are you?
Mm.
How would you answer this question?
Oh, that's not a simple question, though, right?
A very simple question, yeah?
But
Well,
the,
I am I am a daughter, I'm a nurse, I'm da da da. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Why are you asking? I said, well, because I answered this question totally in a totally different way.
mhm,
So how do you answer this question? And I said, well, I am a person who likes color green. I am a person who loves reading. I am an introvert.
mhm,
I am somebody who likes staying home.
yeah,
The same question, totally different answer because my mindset is a different stage.
yeah. It's a level of
And
awareness, of self-awareness as well, that we're
yeah,
not just these external things, we are all internal things.
yeah,
The love for
yeah,
green or the love for painting is not outside, it's inside, because that love is inside. Right? Also, at the same time, I personally would describe myself as also being a mother because that's the biggest part of who I am, but it doesn't fully define me. It's a part of who I am, but it's not all that I am.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's really where you start putting those roles. Is it at the beginning of the answer, or there is, somewhere further? Because that inclines which stage you are. Are you connected with yourself, so you know who you are,
Mhm.
and you add things, the shiny objects to your description, or
Yeah.
you're totally focused on societal roles? And this is that was one of the reasons why I wanted to become a well-being coach and to work with women and moms, because we are very, very disconnected.
Mhm.
And the way we perceive self-care is very misinterpreted.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I always say
nobody really
problem.
truly will understand like us or people in their life because everybody has their own version of who they believe we are, their own interpretation, and they don't often even want to ask questions to get to know us deeper because of the same experience. Why we don't ask those questions of ourselves, because once you know, you can't unknow and you can't go back,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
with this journey that you've been on, and especially after your second burnout, this is where you realize, like, okay, now I'm getting my shit together. Now is the time. It's either essentially all or nothing.
Yeah.
There's what I describe as there's death and rebirth that we all go through, that in order for us to step into that new version of ourselves, the
Mm-hmm.
previous version must essentially die. I don't believe they fully go away, just like people or animals or things that die, they're not ever fully gone. They just exist
Mm-hmm.
in a different way. They're transformed in something different, into something or
Yeah.
someone different. So, what version of you had to die so the woman that you are today could finally live?
People pleaser.
I love that one. I'm a massive people pleaser, and I've learned that, I try to get rid of it, but I'm like, no, you know what? Actually, it's a good quality to have, just doing it in the way that I'm a person first. I need to be good with it, and then everybody else. So,
Yeah.
tell me more about that version of you, that
Mm-hmm.
people pleasing version of you that you had to bury and let go of for
Yeah.
you to exist now.
Well, I was raised in a culture and belief that you need to be there for everyone
Yeah,
first.
me too.
Always available, always there for everyone. And it's not only for your family, the closest family, but
Mhm.
everyone, like your friends,
And
clients,
co-workers, yeah.
the whole world.
Yeah.
Um, I have this expression with my husband that I'm saving the world. So when I
Right?
feel when I feel really, really tired and my husband asks, how are you? I'm like, oh, I've been saving the world today, so I'm knackered. But that's how I felt before, that I was saving the world,
Hmm.
but myself. Always saying yes, always doing things, even if I deep down I didn't want to do them. And I didn't even know what boundaries are. What's that?
It's a foreign word. Please
What
translate it,
is?
right?
Sounds really harsh. I cannot do that. I cannot
Yeah.
set boundaries because I will offend people. It's not
Yes.
nice.
You'll hurt them too.
Yeah. And I want to be liked. I want to be seen as a kind
Yeah.
and nice person.
Hmm.
Well, I am still nice and I am still kind,
Yeah.
and I still help people. But like I said at the beginning, I do it on my terms.
Yes.
And that's the difference now.
Yeah.
I see boundaries as something positive.
Hmm.
And it was really, really important for me to make sure that I will never go back to the burnout state again. Twice is enough. And I wanted to make sure that it will never happen to my daughter.
Hmm.
She
Yeah.
was my driver to make sure that this is not going to happen again,
Hmm.
because I was giving her an example. And
Yeah.
now, 6 years later, I can see a massive difference in how she approaches her own being, her looking after herself,
Hmm.
how
They
she
learn.
is
Yeah.
towards other people, how she is towards herself. It paid off.
Yeah. They learn everything from us, just like we learn everything from them. We were
Yeah.
talking earlier about our kids, right? That they're our teachers and our students, and we are their teachers and their students. And we are literally also, I like the phrase that everybody knows, monkey see, monkey do. This is how our kids learn. They don't learn from conversation, from talking, from telling them what to do or how to do it. None of us do. None of us even like it because then our teenage self comes in and it's like, don't tell me what to do. I know everything. I was that teenager, right? I know it all. I was living
Yeah.
outside practically all the time and always figure things out, always wanted to be out and about. But we get to learn from one another. And we also go through life as I even said in the beginning in the intro, where we all get to that point in our life where we reach that enoughness where enough is enough. So what was your enough is enough moment where you knew you either change or stay stuck?
I cannot recollect any specific moment. I think the whole healing process from the burnout was this: enough is enough.
Hmm.
And um, there are two meanings of enough. There
Hmm.
is this enough is enough, but there's also, and that's what I discovered during my healing journey, I am enough.
Mm.
I do enough and I have enough, and this is enough.
Yeah. And that's the
And
moment of
it's,
enough is enough where you're like, I am enough, and that's enough as of enough. Now you say it so many times, it kind of like just blends in itself.
yeah, but the
Yeah.
enough is enough is, I don't want to say aggressive, but it's just, strong.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. Okay, we need to do
Yes.
something about it. And I am enough is very soft, very gentle, and you
Hmm.
are. at the stage of acceptance. And you start practicing self-compassion towards yourself, and you realize that, yes, I am enough. Yes, I do enough. And I don't have to do more to be loved. I don't have to do more to be accepted. I don't have to do more to be approved. And I
Mhm.
definitely don't have to do more to deserve rest.
Yes.
Otherwise, I will feel guilty.
Hmm.
It's, you are enough.
So how do you get through those moments where, because this is something that I come across very often with women, and
Mhm.
even probably should mention, but even with my husband as well, where he gets into that place where restlessness, where feels guilty of sitting down and watching something on a weekend for just a few hours when
Mhm.
there's other things that should be doing, right? So what would you say to those people that might be struggling and finding themselves in that place to allow them, or that something that has allowed you to just allow yourself to be present
Mhm.
without all the shoulds and all the have to and all of the massive to-do list that we all have a billion things on.
Yeah. First of all, get rid of the should, have to, must, need
Hmm.
to from your vocabulary. And this is something I'm really tuned in when I work with my clients.
Hmm. The language, yeah.
Um, I think my clients hate me for that, but every should has a price.
Yeah, it does. And every
uh,
could has a price as well.
because
Yeah.
those words, they only put pressure on you, and you don't achieve anything but having extra pressure and feeling extra pressure.
Hmm.
um it's really interesting question, because this morning I had a session with a client, and she's in her 60s, and all her life
Mm.
she was there for everyone else. And now she's thinking, well, actually, I'm tired. I cannot continue like I am. I would like to change it, but I feel guilty even thinking about it. So
Yeah.
we started talking, and I asked her about her hobbies, interests. And she said, well, I don't have anything. Okay, what do you do during the day? I clean. Like, all right. Do you clean every day, all day? Well, most of the time, yeah.
Mm.
Right. Do you like doing anything? Well, I used to like going on a walk. Okay, what happened? Well, I don't feel like going, can't be bothered, and there's always something to do at home.
Hmm. Oh, that's true. I can't
Okay,
deny that either. But
okay. And I'm thinking, so I asked, but you've already told me that your health is very important to you. Yes. So you not going on a walk doesn't show that your health is important to you.
mm, the intention is
Well,
not mimicking. Yeah.
yeah. And I said, what would happen if you didn't clean for the first half hour and you went on a walk instead? And then you can come back and do your cleaning if you really want to. Well, nothing. What stops you? Nothing.
It's the think box that does that.
It's the must, it's the should.
Yeah.
Um,
The guilt,
when
the
I was
shame. Yeah.
coming out of this should must, I kept asking myself questions like, is it going to matter in a month's time? Is it going to be important is in 6 months' time? Am I going to remember about it in 6 months' time? If not, that means that it's not important and I don't have to do it now.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that, where it's like you're really checking in to see if there's like what's going to happen if you do it. And changing language is really important because with that,
Yeah.
if we we've already lived this way for so many years, and that's why it becomes so challenging to change our ways. And
Yeah.
as you're sharing that story with your client, what happens in that moment, because I know I've experienced those moments as well, where I have responsibilities in the house, but I also want to go for a walk. And it really becomes an internal battle between the two. And
Hmm.
at the core of it, it's what it's challenging is the lifestyle. And then I started asking, I've gone through IPEC coach training, and this is where they've also helped us to deepen all of our knowledges and connect with ourselves as well. And it really
Hmm.
comes down to, especially when we say should and could, I would ask, according to whom? Who was the one that said this to me, that this is the should that should be happening?
Yeah.
And then I recognized that it wasn't me. And why? Back to the teenager version, right? The rebellious version of we all want.
Yeah.
Would she want to be doing that? Because she's always here. It's like, no, I don't want to be doing the things that others want me to do that I don't want to do because I don't enjoy it. So why would I do the things I don't enjoy?
Yeah.
But a walk is really freaking enjoyable. And at the same time, over time, it gets really boring for me to do the same walk over and over again. But some people
Hmm.
love that. They love familiar places. For me, maybe because we moved to Canada when I was 13 and all the changes and everything. And I know one of my main blocks is the arrival point. Um,
Hmm.
so basically, it's a fear of arrival. It's not the fear of success. It's not the fear of failure. It's a fear of arrival. Because when I arrived to Canada, what happened is I lost everything that I've ever known. Like literally,
Hmm.
even the clothes, everything. Because the way we came here through two different borders, running across and
Yeah.
driving across the states and coming here. And while my dad was here living in the shelter, so we all lost a lot. But as a 13-year-old, there's a lot that kind of happens in that particular moment. And
Hmm.
there, when we understand our programming in the way of what's really stopping us from doing those things, often will be what we're carrying is not about us, it's more about others. How many conversations have you had with somebody sharing their fear or their worries that you might find yourself worrying or feeling fearful a little bit later in your life when similar things happen? You're like, oh my God, this could happen because now you have a different what if scenario in your
Yeah.
mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I would say if you find it really difficult to, because it's us, we put pressure on ourselves, honestly.
Yeah.
For many years, I thought that being a good wife means having a meal cooked from scratch on a daily basis. And sometimes I was really, really tensed about it. And when
Mm.
I was working with my first coach, she suggested for me to, as an example, she suggested baked beans on toast. And my first
Mm.
thought, I didn't say it out loud because I was polite. But my first thought in my head was like, how dare you? How dare you suggesting this kind of stuff? This is outrageous. This is
I'm intrigued to try it. I've never tried it. It sounds
how
pretty
dare you? This
awesome.
is this is very English thing. This, to me, is
Huh.
disgusting. No, soggy bread and beans in artificial tomato sauce is not my thing. But not that's not the point. What I realized later in life was she was giving me an example for simplifying my daily routine.
Hmm.
I didn't want to accept it, but because I wasn't ready for that. But it
Yeah.
made me realize that it wasn't my husband who was putting pressure on me. He's never said, I'm expecting you to cook for me every day, fancy meal. He's never said that. It was
Hmm.
me who was putting pressure on myself, thinking, I have to do it.
Yeah.
He's never said, I am expecting you to have spotless house and clean every day. It wasn't him.
No, it's the
It was
programming.
me
Yeah.
and the background I was brought up in. And there's loads of women who I know that would react in the same way if I said, well, simplify your routine. Well, they wouldn't agree to it. No, I cannot do it because, well, those are excuses you're using to
Yeah.
protect yourself because you don't want to change
Defending.
anything because, okay, I know, I understand that it's scary. With self-care and this guilt to take time for yourself, I often suggest and invite clients to incorporate little things like going on a walk,
Hmm.
having 5 minutes, just drinking a cup of tea or coffee without any devices, without anything, just sit in a garden for 5 minutes, incorporate it to your daily to-do list. So between washing, cleaning, cooking,
Hmm.
ironing, whatever there is on your to-do list, between, put those little things. Because to your brain, it really doesn't matter whether you're ironing or sitting with a cup of tea.
No.
It's a task on a to-do list which you will tick off, and your brain will be very satisfied because
Yeah.
the tick will be done.
Oh, I
That's
love
how
the
our
ticks.
brain works.
It does. And honestly, I also self-diagnosed myself with ADHD, and I think anybody that knows me, they'll be like, yes, Yana, yes, definitely you. Those boxes, I actually literally for every task that I have on my list, I put a box so I can check it and then I can put a line across it and I can highlight it because to me that's a closes the loop.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
literally.
exactly,
And it
exactly.
feels good to get shit done.
Yeah, exactly. A year ago, I was working with a gentleman who has ADHD, and he was really struggling. He was very on board with his work tasks, but he was
Mm.
really not looking after himself. So he started putting drinking water, having a meal, having
Yes,
a
you gotta put
break
yourself on that list. Exactly.
in between his tasks, and it was really, really sweet because only last week he messaged me. We haven't been in touch for a very long time. It was last year when we worked together, and he messaged me last week saying, "Hey, I've been thinking about you because I've been thinking about how much I've achieved and where I am now, and I'm really happy." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Because he
that's really
scheduled
nice."
himself in. Most people forget to do that, forget to schedule themselves in into their
Yeah,
calendar, into their very busy day. Our day can feel busy even if we're sitting there and do nothing. It can feel really busy. But if we don't
yeah.
schedule ourselves in, somebody else will schedule themselves into our calendar.
Hmm.
Quite literally sometimes. That's why even sometimes I gotta make sure I block the right day so nobody can schedule it. Right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Um,
You think that if you eat your lunch in front of your computer, you think you're more productive. Rubbish. You're not.
yeah. No,
Your brain is already tired and your body is tired, and you're less productive actually. If you would be more productive if you had this half an hour away from your desk,
break, yeah.
focusing on your meal, really focusing. What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you see? What colors
Yes.
in your on your plate? Very simple things, but we don't pay attention to it. We're so focused on big goals. That's why I'm so passionate about going back to basics
Yeah. Because they're
and
so easily forgotten.
teaching teaching people that honestly self-care is your unique thing. It's different to you.
Mhm.
And whatever works today may not work tomorrow because you will be in a different place. And this is important to understand. And most of us do practice self care on a daily basis. However, because self care has been sold by wellness industry as something luxurious,
Hmm.
Whatever we do on a daily basis, we think this is not enough.
That's true. Yeah. That it needs to be something so big that you have to go to a retreat and that's self-care.
It has to be scheduled. It has to
Yeah.
be, expensive. It has to be, I don't know. No,
Yeah, or
it
go
doesn't
meditate on
have.
a top of the mountain. That's self-care, but it can really be just sit down and have some coffee by yourself or with someone. It could be even catching up with a friend. It could be just doing nothing. Could be a nice meal, like you said. Literally, even just a
Can
walk.
be anything. It can
Yeah.
be anything. And you would be surprised how quickly you regain your energy, how quickly your sleep improves, how quickly you
Mm,
start becoming calmer and more present and
yeah.
for yourself, for others, how you start connecting with yourself and you realize that actually I'm pretty awesome person and I
Yeah.
don't need another retreat, which by the way is like a aid band because it works just for a few days.
Yeah. Because it's like when we go on vacation, we feel great. The most
Yeah.
exciting part about any vacation is the time leading up to the vacation.
Hmm.
Always, like the preparation for it. That's the most exciting time. Even, and then when you're on vacation, you're like, you can't wait to go home closer to the end, especially. And when
Yeah.
we have in business, when we have a project, we get so excited with the project, but then you have to start doing, and starting is the hardest part, isn't it? And
Yeah.
when you start scheduling yourself in, what we're doing or we're saying with that intention is that I choose to give to myself instead of giving to others, which also means stop giving and start receiving because we all
Mm,
struggle with receiving, especially as people
yeah.
pleasers. We're really happy and willing to give and give and give and give until we have nothing left, and then
Yeah.
afterwards we'll find something else to give, but we struggle with receiving.
Hmm.
Even receiving a simple compliment. And I remember for me that was a massive one where
Yeah.
I couldn't take a compliment. I literally would just like wanted to escape from there. And now I've learned how to actually do it because nobody taught me how to do it. I think that really was the biggest thing is that not knowing how to receive a compliment. And it
Yeah.
literally is you take that compliment, you put it to your heart and say thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. It's so
Yeah.
simple. But at the same time, the first time I did it, I was like, thank you? Was that a question? Was or
Question
is that
mark?
a statement, right? Because it's awkward the first time we do anything. But with practice, we get good at it, and somebody gives a compliment. And now I put two hands, thank you, right?
Hmm.
Why? Why would I reject the compliment? Because going like this, it's rejecting it, and nobody
Yeah.
likes to feel rejected.
Yeah.
And sometimes also, I'm like, you know what? Let's see how awkward the other person might feel when I take the thank you in. And that can become a fun game where make the other person awkward instead of me. Right? I mean, we all have different ways of looking at things. And
Yeah.
if, like, for me, this is what works in moments, right? Or instead of looking at something as a conflict,
Hmm.
because often people pleasers, we run away from conflict. We don't want to deal with conflict.
Yeah.
Because, right, of what might happen and feeling like we will be intimidated by instead, okay, well, what if you did it the other way where you quote unquote intimidated the other person, but it's not intimidating because you're coming from a place of confidence and being confident, and the other person might feel intimidated by your confident presence in that
Hmm.
particular moment. And that would mean you got to gather yourself, you got to get your shit together and know essentially what you want to do in that moment and recognize that the reality is that there's always more than one outcome, and sometimes you might end up losing things,
Hmm.
right? And that leads me to one of my favorite questions that I want to ask you. On your journey, Carolina, what did you lose that you did not expect to grieve?
Mm. Mm. I think I lost my old life,
Mm,
including many relationships,
yeah.
which I thought were close relationships. And I grieved a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that was the massive, massive thing.
Yes.
Um, it's not that I've lost connections with a lot of people and, chapter closed.
Hmm.
No, it's not that. It's more about how I am now and how I perceive them now and how
Yeah.
the relationships we have now, they are different. They are new.
Hmm.
So my mom is a typical narcissist, and losing the relationship with her, which was on her conditions,
Hmm. Usually a narcissist, yeah.
it was a massive thing for me. Um, because I thought, well, I'm doing something wrong here, putting myself first, and it's not
Yeah.
easy. I still struggle with that. Um, but now it's more on my terms.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that was the biggest thing. Um, the fact that this is your closest family doesn't mean that you can continue operating within the system like everybody else if the system doesn't work for you. You can create a new system, and if the people are willing to meet you halfway, they will.
Yeah, that's
That's what
true.
happened with my relationships.
Hmm.
If they don't, well, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
We're adults, and loads of relationships I had in high school are not existing anymore because
Yes.
we evolved.
Hmm.
And that's normal. That's part of life.
Yeah.
So at some point we lose something, some kind of relationships. But
Yeah.
what I've learned here is that, yeah, I am building on my terms, and either you will meet me halfway,
Join me or go away.
or we're not going to
Yeah,
have anything in common.
that's true. And it shows how aware you are as well of what you didn't expect to grieve was losing your previous life, your old life, because that's the old you, that's the old version of you. And now, in order for you to become who you were always meant to become, you gotta take the anchors off. That's the analogy that come. I love analogies,
Yeah,
and many people like we have the analogy of an anchor changes a little bit, but
hmm,
in this case, it, the anchor means that there's some people that are holding us back and holding us down where we
hmm,
are and not allowing us to go further. Now, the reality is that it's not them who are not allowing, it's us. It's us not being able to see yet and step into this version that you stepped in where you were able to see clearly, to set those boundaries, which I'm sure was one of the biggest things that you were doing, where saying
yeah,
it's either this, meet me halfway, that's a very clear boundary right there, or I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to let you go so that way I can keep flying because I'm a bird and I'm meant to be flying and you can't
yeah,
hold me back. And it's not easy to lose people. It's not easy to say goodbye to them temporarily, but then eventually it does become easier. Um,
yeah. It does, and I think, in a way, you grieve your own old version of yourself.
yeah.
Um, but you gain a lot as well.
Yeah.
You
And I
gain a lot
also,
of fantastic relationships and you
Yes.
gain yourself.
And that's the most important relationship is the one that we have with ourselves. Because when we go
Yeah.
to sleep and we wake up, we're there alone. Even if you have a partner sleeping right next to you, you still wake up alone. You're alone in
Yeah.
your own mind and in your own body. And we are creatures of comfort and connection. So
Hmm.
it's natural to also go back to our previous versions because they're comfortable and to seek connection, even if we're introverts. I am also an introvert. I used to be an extrovert. Now, over time, I became an introvert. And online, everything, I come across as very extroverted. But otherwise, I'm home by myself, alone. I avoid even hanging out with some people, right? Because I just prefer to be by myself. Somebody wants to hang out with me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I want to. I enjoy solitude, but at the same time, I love connecting with people and I love having conversations. And
Hmm.
one thing because we all lose people and we lose friends, and often we forget to grieve those relationships that we've lost with friends because they're
Hmm.
not as the ones that are considered to be standard ones to be grieving, right?
Yeah.
But we still do. But the reason why what really helped me to let go of those that weren't serving me is the reality of there's 8 more billion people in the world. I'm bound to find one or two people who can be a close friend to me and not these people that are no longer serving me, or we start hearing them for and seeing them for who they are because we're finally done with making excuses for them because people pleasers, this is what we do. We will normalize
Yeah.
things that people do to us. It feels like that, but in reality, they're doing it for us. But we keep making excuses for them instead of being
Hmm.
honest with when you show me who you are, I don't believe them because I choose to believe that there's good people out there. As I was telling you earlier, right? When I started
Yeah.
talking about the whole car, I'm like,
Yeah.
just let me word vomit, right? With the car, like I wanted to believe that that person was a genuine person, only to find out he lied about everything about the car. And there were also red flags that I was choosing to ignore and avoid because I didn't want to do more work of looking for another car. And that is the truth. Sometimes we gotta pause and and check
Yeah.
ourselves like, okay, what's really happening? And why am I
Hmm.
ignoring my own red flags? And red flags also are the ones that come up where I label it as getting your shit together. So in your life, Carolina, what does getting your shit together actually look like for you now in your real life? And not the highlight reel, as I said earlier, right? Just like, what does it actually look like to you?
Um, hmm. I don't know which version you want.
The one that comes to mind that will help others see themselves in it in a way that gets them out of there.
I mean, there's loads going on at the moment, and I think the biggest thing
Yeah.
is my coaching practice. It's really, really important to me doing it full time.
Hmm.
I do it part time, and I have my day job. And putting my shit together at the moment regarding my practice means going out there and telling people what I do, why I do it, and how I do it. This is this isn't easy.
No.
This isn't easy. So and I find myself, if there is something outside of my comfort zone, I will find thousands excuses not to do it or do it later.
Yes, that's a good one.
Which means, you know,
Never comes. Later never comes. Tomorrow
yeah,
never comes because it's
um,
always going to be tomorrow.
exactly. And I think putting my shit together literally means, okay, put your pants on, be a big girl,
Yep.
and do it. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, you will be doing it first time or just second time. Yes, you will feel anxious. But guess what? If you don't do it, it won't improve and you will be kicking yourself up
Hmm.
spiraling into this guilt tripping yourself or putting yourself down.
Yeah.
But no, no, this is important to me. And I know
Mhm.
this is important. And I know why it's important because it's not about me having my business. It's more about I know that I can help people out there.
Mm.
And I know I can do it on my own terms. I kind of do it now with my day job, but it's not fully on my terms
Yeah. Well,
because
that's
I
what
have a
happens when you work for
manager.
when you exactly you work for someone else. They tell you what to do and how to do it. You have to answer to someone. But in your own job and career, you show up for yourself. And that's, I think, what you're really talking about is showing up for yourself and
Yeah,
building your dreams instead of somebody else's.
yeah.
I will share one of my favorite phrases and quotes that got me to a place where I cannot work for anybody else unless it's going to teach me something. Like, for example, if I have an opportunity to work for Tony Robbins, I will because it will teach me something.
Hmm.
But a paycheck is a bribe you accept for keeping your dreams at bay.
Oh, good one.
I heard that a few years back, and when I heard it, this is where I was going through a lot. It broke my heart because I
Mm,
realized I was taking that bribe. And especially like think about the moments you go and ask for what you think you're worth for that pay raise, and they don't give you that. I remember
mhm.
the moment I became assistant manager, I was a head teller. I was in charge of all the money in the bank coming in and out, doing the bank machines, in charge of all the head tellers or cashiers. And then when I became assistant manager, they paid me, I shit you not, $300 more for the year to be assistant manager.
You were lucky.
I thought,
Mm.
yeah, that's not it. And then you're in trouble for everything, for everyone. I'm like, I'm not a freaking babysitter, right? Um, and we then learn that we don't want to be taken that bribe because to me, the way I describe it, it irritated my soul.
Yeah.
And with my last job, that's what I did because I worked for Canada Post afterwards. And my last day, I walked in and I told them, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not for me. I meant for something else. And this is not it. I had
Mm.
no idea what I was going to be doing, nothing. And then um, life teaches us, life shows us. I
Yeah.
didn't even know coaching existed. I was in network marketing company, and then I saw there was a bunch of coaches there. I'm like, what is this? Who are these people? Oh my God, they're amazing. They're so inspiring. They're like they were helping me to get my shit together. And as you were describing, it's really
Yeah.
just mostly just showing up and
It
doing the hard
is.
thing. And another favorite quote, this is the one that my husband shared with me, is do hard things for easy life, do easy things for hard life.
Mm.
So when it feels hard, I see it as an invitation to prove to myself that I can
Yeah.
do it. As a teenager, it was to prove to others,
Hmm.
right? Look at me, I'm so strong, I can do this and that. And as a young mom, because we were 22 years old when we lost our twin girls, our daughter was born, they were 22 weeks, um, I was 22 weeks pregnant with them. And then our
Hmm.
daughter was born when I was 23. So, and then our son 3.5 years later. So in 20s, like, want to prove to everyone that I can do it all.
Yeah.
And the outside, everyone's like, oh my God. Like, essentially, the way I would describe it would be essentially jealous and envious of you have this, you have that. Because on paper, everything looks good. But in reality,
Hmm.
it's not, right?
Yeah.
Because we're the ones living through it. And that's where it's like, as you're saying, like, how you getting your shit together with your practice. You're right. It's not easy. It's not easy to show up and, in many ways, fight for your dream, for your beliefs, for your vision in your own mind, for the feelings that it creates that is even hard to explain into words of what it is, right? It's
Yeah.
like, draw me a picture of what you see yourself experiencing in your life through this business. It's challenging to see that because what examples are out there that is being shared in the way, right? So we gotta live through it and then see that, you know what? I will be the one to pay others a bribe to put their dream on pause temporarily, but hopefully their dream is to do that very thing and
Yeah,
work with you, right? In other words,
yeah,
employing other people.
yeah. But I think it's important to mention here that, not every paid job is bad
No, because
choice.
some of them we're meant to be doing that. It really like
And
it
yeah, and I think it's
fulfills
really
us.
important to mention that, because some people may think, oh, so I need to
Taking,
put my shit together and have my own business. No, it's not about
no.
that. If you have a calling, you know the calling. And I think
Hmm.
for since I remember, I knew that I wanted to work with people. And I have been doing it for over 20 years in many roles, in many
Hmm.
organizations. And I felt really fulfilled. It's
Yeah,
just now I feel that, okay, I am ready for a new chapter. And this new chapter is my own practice.
yeah,
Is scary like shit,
of course it is.
because I know nothing about having my own business. My whole life, I thought that I'm not a person who can have a business. I'm not a business woman,
Hmm.
because I have this vision of, sharp high heels,
Yeah, of like what the boss
dark
woman looks
suit,
like, right? Exactly.
um, and and then you started and you are bombarded with loads of ideas, loads of suggestions, loads of information, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
"Ah, me,
Where do I
how
start?
am I? How do I know which route I'm going to choose?"
Yeah.
And it was really difficult at the beginning, because I was
Hmm.
following every advice, I was following every guidance, I was following every flipping Tony Robinson and
Yes.
other gurus, and I'm thinking, okay, but what you're telling me is not actually aligned with me. And that was really important.
Hmm.
Last year, I realized that, okay, if I'm going to build it the way I want to build it, I'm going to shut down every noise from outside, and
Yes.
I will tune in, and I will start doing on my terms.
Yeah.
Again, I reconnected with myself as a business person, and I started listening to myself. My self-care is my well-being is the priority.
Mhm.
That's why I'm building it, to prevent third or fifth burnout.
Yeah.
But I was very close to have another burnout because of the amount of information
Yes.
related to building your business. And I think a lot of people, I started networking with a lot of solopreneurs, and they experience the same thing.
Yep, I definitely did. That's why I call it analysis of paralysis. You have so much information that it comes to a point where you know everything you need to
Mhm.
start. And you just need to start and like you said, cancel all the noise, silence all the noise outside and just focus on and be with the information that you already have and start there. Because also in the beginning you were
Mhm.
saying following shiny objects and things that you're learning.
Oh, it's so easy, isn't it?
Right, but then it also comes across like, especially in the business, nobody teaches us in school about business. And
No.
this is where everything that is being talked about, it becomes a shiny object and we get exhausted
Yeah.
chasing each and everything. And even though like we can all help others with starting their business, because
Mhm.
realistically, there is no one size fits all. Everyone already knows where
Yes.
to start and what business they would want or the niche that they would want to start in. And the problem is not the information issue, it's the application. issue. That's the problem.
And self-trust.
Well, this is where the self-application comes in, where there's no self-trust and we're not
Self-trust.
even
If you don't
applying
trust
it.
yourself, if you don't know yourself, if you're not connected with yourself, you will be reaching out for those shiny objects constantly.
Yes. It's almost like it feels to me, it felt like it was like an approval that if I did it, if
Yeah.
I learned this, now I have this information, now I feel like I'm good. But then what about applying it? What about now seeing myself in it? Can I actually see myself doing or
Yeah.
having this kind of a business or this kind of a business or this path or that path? And it
Mm-hmm.
becomes there's so much noise out there too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even so many businesses that are faceless businesses as well. And
Yeah.
now we're full with information. I know for me, it's like, well, which way do I go? I love these podcasts way too much to become a faceless business. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That sounds it feels like way too much work. This is so much easier. And
Mm.
even though initially it was hard, it was so hard to start doing live videos. And we always start
Yes.
doing things. And this will lead me to the next question that I'd like to ask because for me, what really got me into live videos was when I was in this network marketing company. And even the way that I got into it was I came across a post in one of the local groups where I was living in a different town. We've moved since then. And there was this lady selling this product called BioCell. And it was about collagen that helps you to get rid of cellulite in your legs. Not that I had much, but
Okay.
with us women, it's one of those things. And then I go to her page and I just was intrigued by her being like it was very obvious that she was petrified and shaking, not just physically, but even her voice was shaking and doing a live video in a dark and a horse stable because she felt like this was something that she had to do. And when I saw that video, it inspired me so much because all I saw of how brave she was, like it even makes me tear up to this day. And I still talk to her once in a while, but
Mm-hmm.
how brave she was doing the scariest thing that anybody can think of. And I thought to myself, if she can do it, I can do it. That was literally it. And I started doing live videos. I was everything was coming out of me of all ends, right? I was on the toilet and I was vomiting. And it was for months and months and months because I was rewriting my wiring. And it
Mm-hmm.
was, if she can do it, I can do it, right? If she can do it, I can do it. That was literally it. And that was 10 years ago.
Mm.
And we always remember those people that help us transform our life in ways that it just it's unimaginable. And I couldn't imagine where it would bring me or why. But the
Mm.
reason why I want to share that is because there are women who are listening right now that are stuck in that dreaming and doubting and overthinking phase, as I was in that moment, because I was
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. And I would love to know what would you say to her that might finally get her to move that she is actually not ready to hear.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, no problem. So those women who are doubting themselves, who are
Mm-hmm.
stuck in their dreaming phase and they're doubting and they're overthinking, they're spinning,
Mm-hmm.
right? What would you say to her that would get her to finally move towards her dreams, her goals, and do something that she's not ready to hear?
I would say don't do it on your own.
That's true. Yeah.
Ask for help. You don't have to do everything on your own. And I think that was my biggest lesson
Yeah.
whilst since I started building my practice. The more I ask for help, the more I reach out, the more I do something with other people,
Hmm.
the more I feel confident, the more eager I am to do things which are outside of my comfort zone. Um, so I would say don't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Even
Very
if it's
well said.
one person, go and connect with that one person. Having said that, connect with someone who's already in the field or who can mentor you. We're not
Yeah.
talking about family members.
It needs to make sense, right? With
Yeah,
where you want to do, where you want to get your shit together in that area of the
yeah,
person that you want to connect
exactly.
with.
And I would also add that you are not the only one. We all have doubts. Even
Yeah.
if you are in business for 10 years, you will have doubts about something because if you face something first time, it's natural that you're going to have doubts.
Yep.
It's natural that if you do something outside of your comfort zone, even if it's 20 years later, you're going to have doubts, and it's
Mhm.
normal and it's natural. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Um, just know yourself,
Hmm.
ask yourself, keep asking yourself question, what do I want, what do I need, and who can help me to get there, who can help me to achieve it. If it's confidence, have a think about having a coach. If it's taking another step, have a think about having a mentor. There's many people who are really willing to support others. However, if you don't say what you need, no one is going to read your mind.
True.
If you're going to hide in your hole, no one is going to find you there and rescue
Yep.
because no one will know that you're there. And
Yeah.
that's what I've learned. And that's what I would say to somebody who has the doubts. And yeah, I
Hmm.
would like to, but
Yeah. No,
I'm not gonna say just do it. No, I'm not that kind of person. I
it's not
know it's
easy to just
scary.
do it. Yeah.
It's difficult, it's scary. I would say ask yourself first, what do you need? What do you want? And who can help you?
It's true. Yeah, and we're not meant to be doing it alone. Just because we wake up and go to sleep alone, as I was saying earlier, does not mean we got to do everything alone. And it
Yeah.
also helps us to get others' perspective as well. And that's why you were saying how it really matters of who, not just going to a family member. Because if you're like, for example, in your case, if you're building a business, going to someone who has never done it and is terrified of it would do more damage than good, because
Oh
now they're
yeah,
gonna give you so much things that they're scared of and terrified of, and they'll put so much more doubt and fear into you. That would not be the right person for that conversation. Don't.
absolutely. I will give you an example. My mom spent 35 years in the same workplace, doing the same job. Since I was 18, I kept changing my roles and companies every 2, 3 years. For first 10 years, she was almost having heart attack every time when I was changing job.
Mm,
So that wasn't a person I would go and say, hey,
yeah.
I'm planning to change a job. Don't do it.
Right?
Don't do
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, that's true. See, and that's a beautiful example that that would not be the right person, because then
Yeah.
that would have prevented you from experiencing different things, different people, and different lessons with each move that you've made.
Mhm.
And the last question I would love to ask is, what part of yourself are you finally allowing to exist without trying to fix, hide, or prove it to anyone anymore?
um, for a very, very long time, I thought that there is something wrong with me because I was getting emotional easily.
Yeah.
I was tuned in with other people. Sometimes I was freaking out myself, to be honest. I could I could feel other people's feelings and how they felt physically. And for many, many years, I couldn't get it. I thought that there's something wrong with me. And a few years ago, I came across highly sensitive person description, and turned out that I'm ticking all the boxes possible describing highly sensitive person. And now I'm actually embracing that because this is my biggest asset,
Yeah.
combined with introversion, to work with people. And I know now why I'm so good with working with people, because of my ability to listen as an introvert and my ability to really tune in into other people feelings and emotions.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds, creepy, because it's almost like I know almost what you think, what you feel. But it really brings what needs to be brought.
Yeah.
And now I'm really proud of that.
I love that. What you're actually describing is an empath. I don't know if you've heard of that word, which is the opposite of
Empath,
a narcissist and usually
but
are
on a
raised by
higher
narcissists.
on a
Yeah.
higher level.
Well, because you were raised, as you said, by a narcissist, and this is where it brings you to a very connected place. That's why you're able to sense other people's feelings and emotions where they might not be able to clearly describe what they're feeling themselves, and
Mm,
potentially even take on those feelings and emotions. I know in my experience, that's where I found myself even feeling somebody else's stress when I wasn't stressed and I was fine, and I'm at the store, somebody else walked by me or near me, and I felt panic inside. I'm like, why am I feeling that way? And it's
yeah,
not mine. And
yeah.
then recognizing that, oh my God, energy transfers and moves around, and we are like all magnets of this energy.
Hmm.
And this is where now I became more cautious of who I surround myself with, because not only will I become more that way, but it can be draining. And this is where you were talking about your job before, where it
Very
was like
draining.
draining as well. And being an empath, you take that shit on and then you carry, you bring it home. That adds and leads to the burnout as well, because not only are you dealing with your own feelings and emotions, you have others
Hmm.
that are attached to you. It's almost like they touched your clothes and it's like now on you, but it goes
Yeah.
deeper than
Yeah,
the skin.
exactly. Yeah. And I think, the burnout was because I was absorbing other people's emotions,
Yeah, like a
because I
sponge.
didn't know how to look after myself.
Yeah.
Now I know how to look after myself, and I practice it on a daily basis. And it's almost like wearing a coat, I put a coat to
Armor.
work, and then I take it off when I finish work. But that's how it is.
Yeah,
That's how it is.
that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Carolina, for
Thank
sharing
you.
your journey so openly today. I want to tell everyone and ask everyone, go and show her some love. Follow her and check out all of her links that I will be sharing down below as well on the podcast. And check her out, connect with her. Maybe she can help you out in the areas that you're seeking help. And if this episode hit home, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Sharing is caring.
Mhm.
This is how we also help not only to spread the word, but spread the love and the healing that the world
Yeah,
needs desperately, especially in this day and age. And if you're ready
absolutely.
to keep going, come and hang out with us inside the Heal the Unicorn Emotional Healing and Spiritual Business Growth for Women Facebook group. The link will be somewhere around as well. And make sure you subscribe to the episode so you never miss an episode. Sorry, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss the episode. And because some of them are not live, they are recorded, and new episodes drop on the podcast every single Saturday early in the morning. And until next time, keep showing up, keep becoming. You are not behind. You are not too late. You're right on time. And also, you're not too old because this is the other one I also hear. You are
Yeah.
exactly where you need to be, where you're meant to be. So thank you, everybody. Until next time. Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.